glad to be here with you, and I hope you're going to find this evening informative and interesting. All of us are concerned about our weight. And unless there is some physiological reason, everyone watching me who is overweight because they use food to deal with their daily life existence. And habits develop over our lifetimes, and most of the time, people are not anywhere close to being aware of how the power of food and its connection with making ourselves comfortable causes us to put on weight. The biggest thing that I find is that people are constantly complaining about how hard it is to lose weight. And the reason it is hard is very simple. If we don't have the right frame of mind, if we're not focused in a proper kind of way, then the reason food is so powerful makes it even more powerful. Now, you've heard me say many times, within the first few hours of life, all wrapped, you were brought back to your mother. You fussed, and she used a breast or a bottle to comfort you. You've also heard me say that I could take alcohol out of your life and you would survive. I could take drugs out of your life and you could survive. But we cannot take food out of your life. So if weight is an issue, you have to learn to live with food. And dieting, depending on how conforming you are, dieting carries with it the thought, the feeling of depression. I'm being deprived. I feel depressed. I want. What we've also talked about, and this is important, is that AccuWeight has a different philosophy. What we've basically done is take the human body back to what it was dealing with when it was an infant. Now, if you think of a 10-month-old baby, its basic diet is milk, fruits, and vegetables. And it's the period of time where growth is at its greatest potential. And children prosper with milk, fruits, and vegetables. and there is no thought. The mother feeds, the baby is comfort, it grows, it prospers, and everything is fine. The second part of the thinking that I want you to look at is that when people are in control, they have one set of feelings and thoughts. And when people are out of control, they have a totally different and painful set of feelings. And this is critically important. Because particularly any of you who have children who are 2 years of age or younger, recognize that the first thing a baby, and I'm going to use the word learns, is to cry. And the crying helps the baby control you. There's no great thought involved in an infant, but it knows on some level or another that if it can cry, you will pay attention. Crying, pay attention. Problem. As the child gets older, and parents and people around it recognize that the child is doing this control by crying, the crying becomes less and less effective. So that we even have statements like, don't cry wolf. Now, babies learn very shortly that the crying doesn't work anymore, so they can't control. And that is problematic. Everybody wants to control. But if you're not going to listen to the crying, the child is not going to get its way. And so the crying no longer has the same effect. Humans are incredible. On its own level, the baby thinks. And it begins to realize on some level or another, I'm not smart enough to get into a baby's mind, and I can't remember when I was a baby, but I think I was pretty much like other babies, that if I acted depressed, I would get my way. And if you'll notice, something happens, and we're doing it today, all of us. Something happens. I went someplace. I was late. The aftermath of being late was some kind of problem. It may not have been critical, but it bothered me. I don't know what to do about it. So what do? I sit down and I begin to think, and the thoughts that I have are depressing. And if you remember the last few weeks, I have been saying to you, you cannot control your thinking. You cannot control your feelings. But what you can control is what you do about it. Now, here I am sitting there, and I'm staring into the sky, and people are walking by, and they see me just sitting there. I don't talk. I'm just looking around and staring, and they say, "Are you all right?" And I say, "Fine, I'm fine." "Well, why are you?" And it draws attention. People want to be helpful. "Why are you sitting there and just staring? You're not doing anything." Now, my sitting there and staring and doing nothing gets their attention. How do I feel? I feel badly because something occurred. It was problematic. It was because of my own behavior. But it happened, and I feel badly that it happened. And I would really like some help, some thought, some idea, something. But I don't ask for help. And why don't I ask for help? Well, one possible reason is in the past I've asked for help and the help was refused. Or people tried to cheer me up and I didn't let them. And so my behavior, although is not helpful, is giving me something, some attention, and it feeds upon itself. Remember the magic circle that we start with. You cannot control your feelings. You cannot control your thoughts, but you can control your behavior. In an infant, that depressive-like behavior gets attention, and the baby feels more content. And that's why most of us, think about this. I was walking in the supermarket just 2 days ago. The supermarket in the front has a big wide aisle. In the back has a big wide aisle. And then there are lines of aisles that go across. I had gone to the back of the supermarket and I was walking when all of a sudden a carriage with an older woman came out of the aisle into the big aisle where I was and crashed into my wagon. And the woman started to yell at me. "Get out of my way! You're blocking my way!" And I said, "Ma'am, I have the right of way." And she was screaming even louder. So I backed up a little bit, and she banged into my carriage again, screaming, "Get out of my way! You're blocking my way! You have no right to be there!" And I became Dr. Schwartz for me. I realized that what was going on had nothing to do with what was going on. It was irrational. It made no sense at all. One of the things that I found in therapy is people would complain and complain and complain. And I would listen to their complaints. Now, in real life, what doesn't happen is what would happen in therapy. I would have said to this woman, who was being irrational, is your yelling and screaming useful? Is it helping you? Undoubtedly, it was not helping her, but she was doing it. And one of the things that I found in therapy is that people complained, and it sort of emptied them out a little bit. So after they stopped complaining, and even though it didn't help, they now had an emptiness that they could complain more. And the behavior was very depressing. And you've heard me say time and time again that people choose their own misery. And this is one of the things I want us to focus on. Because if we can change our behavior by being aware of what's going on within us, we have the possibility of changing our lives. Time and time again, I hear stories. And people behave in a certain way. It's habitual behavior. And it gets them no place. Now, we're more focused. We're here together because weight loss is a major factor. We're focused on it. But the same elements that are involved in the stuff that I was talking about, I'll give you another example. I had a patient, male, weighed over 300 pounds. He was a stockbroker. He made a living. But he was ignored by most everyone in the office because of the fact that, from his own words, nobody really wants to deal with someone as big and fat as I am. He came into therapy and he came into AccuWeight Loss. He lost over 100 pounds. And he comes into the office one day and he says to me, Dr. Schwartz, I don't know what to say to you, but I've been in therapy, it never helped. I came to AccuWeight Loss. You helped me lose the over 100 pounds. And my life, I can't believe, has changed dramatically. I kept my job because I'm very smart at picking stocks. And people hired me because I was good at picking stocks. But I was never paid attention to by my colleagues. I was never paid attention to by the officers in my company. I was just me going day to day to day. And what I need to tell you is My losing over 100 pounds changed my life dramatically. People come to me now and ask me questions. No one ever used to talk to me. People ask me to go places with them. And I can't believe it. And the reason I'm telling you is I got a promotion today. And I had been with this company for 12 years. The difference is you made me look at myself. You caused me to stop complaining and to start doing. You reminded me again and again and again that I wanted, and I comforted myself through that wanting. And when I stopped complaining, when I took control of my life and realized that it wasn't hunger, it was something in me from when I was a little boy, because I've always wanted and had this feeling. I now have confidence, and my life is changing. He is the person who, how shall I say, got into my head. And that's where the magic protocol came from. You see, you have every right to want. We all have the right to want. We are all basically the same. We just behave differently. Food is incredibly powerful as a comforting tool. And some people learn to use food to comfort themselves without recognizing that their behavior and their lives do not change. As they begin to love themselves. And what does that mean, to love yourself? You get up in the morning with you. If you don't like the you that you get up with in the morning, then you're getting up with a person that you're not happy with. I don't care what your life circumstances are. You're still getting up with a person that you don't like being with. And some people, most people who are overweight are in that category, become addicted to food because food is an incredibly powerful comfort aid. On AccuWeight, there is no hunger. So people realize that it's something else going on. Call it a habit. Call it whatever you like. But it has to be addressed. One of the most terrible things that I have encountered ever when I was a full-time psychologist. People feel terrible when they are alone, when they are ignored, when they feel unimportant, when they feel powerless, and I could go on with those words. It's easy to use food to get comfort for those feelings. And people choose food because it becomes a habitual kind of thing. The magic protocol came out of that because I realized that you cannot be passive. You must do something. But people tend to do the same thing over and over and over and over again because they can't control their thinking and they can't control their feelings. And what they're trying to do is salvage something. Now, I want. The baby wants. It cries, behavior. It cries, and it gets its needs met. It gets older, and crying doesn't work anymore. So it learns to smile. The problem is when you're feeling depressed because you want and don't have, it's difficult to smile. And the feeling of depression takes over. But depression is a powerful tool as well. Why is he sitting there? Why is he not talking to anybody? Why is he doing what he's doing? Hey, what's wrong? Nothing. I'll be all right. And people tend to choose feeling terrible because they have a sense of control that's not helpful. I can get you to pay attention to me because you're worried about me. And now that you're worried about me, you're paying attention. But I'm not going to accept your help. And the reason I'm not going to accept your help is because, let's say when I was growing up, I felt this way, and I asked for help, and the help was denied. Now I felt even more terrible. So now I'm acting in this way to get attention, but I want you to help me. I don't want you to help me help myself. I want you to do it for me. You can have whatever you like, but recognize always that nothing is free. Everything must be paid for. And don't magnify those words. Just keep them just what they are. Nothing is free. Everything must be paid for. Dr. Chu used to say, there is no such thing as random behavior. Everything is cause and effect. If there's no such thing as random behavior, and everything is cause and effect, then if you control your behavior, you can do a heck of a lot better job of navigating in your world. For almost 25 years, I have been saying to you, do the program and you will lose 15 pounds, and we now say 30 days. You do the program, every 30 days, you'll lose 15 pounds. People are going to do what they're going to do, and they've broken the protocol. But the key is that nothing has changed. The moment you get back up on the horse again, you will lose 15 pounds minimum every 30 days. So depending upon how powerful your urge is to, I don't know if the word is celebrate, go off, act out, no matter how powerful it is, as long as you don't repeat your behavior. And some of you are going to do that because you're going to feel guilty. I'm guilty that I did it. I don't want to tell people. Now I have to punish myself for feeling guilty for going off the program. And now that I feel guilty and going off the program, I have to punish myself for being guilty and having gone off the program, instead of following the rule. And the rule is your choice. And that's what you have to recognize. I want is something that is legitimate, and you're able to address that. How you address it is up to you. But once you've gotten what you asked for, know you have to pay for it. Don't be the child who is worried about. Be the adult on the airplane. The oxygen mask comes down. And you know, unless you put on your mask first, you're not good to you, and you're not good for anyone else. Stop. Use the Dr. John's lollipops. You're giving yourself something. It's non-nutritive. It doesn't exacerbate the problem. It gives you back control. And you're acknowledging that you're important enough to give yourself something because you're worth it. And the more you make yourself worth it, the easier it gets. Because what's very strange, and back to that salesperson, as he started taking care of himself, as he started making himself important, people began to notice. It made no difference what he was doing. They were recognizing he had taken control of his life. He was losing weight. He became happier with himself for doing what he was doing and losing the weight. And the more he did what he did, the happier he was with himself. And the happier he was with himself, the more he liked being who he was. He was always a person with ability. That's how he kept his clients over the years. And they stayed with him because he knew his work. But no one spoke with him. No one dealt with him because he had no confidence. He didn't love himself. He wasn't important enough. And who made that choice? He made the choice. You make the choice. And the more we do this and the more we get into this, the more your life is going to change. The one thing I can tell you for sure is that in those situations with very young people, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, when they were happy with themselves, they got up in the morning, ready to go, looking forward to the day. And they weren't winners 100% of the time. They just were happy with themselves, so they got up with a person who would listen to them. They were listening to themselves. They were controlling their own lives. And people saw that. And one of the wonderful things, and it's a very strange world, people like to be close to and next to and emulate other people for reasons. Often, it's not healthy for you. It's good for them, but not for you. What's good for you is that you like the attention you get, but you realize that you're getting the attention because you've taken control of your life. Remember the story I told you about being in that automobile coming down Route 684 when it was brand new, 5 lanes, and the young people in my car, I was in my early 20s, were ragging on me to go faster and faster and faster. It was, if I remember correctly, somewhere in October. And I was doing over exactly what I don't remember, 90 miles an hour. When I saw those flashing lights way, way ahead. And I tried hitting my brakes, and nothing happened. And I tried hitting my brakes, and nothing happened. And those flashing lights became bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And I was terrified. I was totally out of control inside that automobile. And I was terrified. The only thing I remembered is that you use the steering wheel to try to control, you don't twist it or whatever else. And by nature itself, over that period of time, getting closer and closer and closer, the automobile slowed down. Until we realized what it was all about. It was one of those very cold days. Rain had come, the road had frozen. Well, you know the end of the story. I didn't crash, but I learned my lesson. Don't do things to get initial comfort, because you're going to pay for it. You want to enjoy yourself? Enjoy yourself. But don't throw away all the gains that you've made. You've had your celebration. You're continuing to lose weight. One other thing. Very, very few people ask me questions, send me emails, criticize me, agree with me. I always do better, and I want to do better for you when I know what's on your mind, when I know what concerns you, what I know that interests you. Because my job, and you've given me that job. Remember, you pay me. I work for you. Now, if I work for you, who's the boss? You are. You've hired me because I have information that can help you. But the old habits of don't ask, don't tell, are very strong. And so you don't get as much as you could get out of our communications. I'm going to continue doing this, but I can do it better with your help. Now I have a list of questions someplace. Here it is. And let's ask the questions. Can I drink 2 electrolytes a day? Electrolytes are very important. They're elements like magnesium and sodium. They're chemicals, but they cause the electrical system in our bodies to work efficiently. Too much of a good thing is too much. So those vitamin waters, those Powerade Zeros and things like that, they're fine because the amount of electrolytes in them are minimal. But if you're not working out and you're not exercising and you're not doing strenuous activity, as long as it's a not overpowering electrolyte, you can do 2 a day. Otherwise, there is no need and you're wasting money and it's not going to help you. How long will it take to lose my weight? You will lose 15 pounds every 30 days in total health. If you have 30 pounds to lose, it will take you 60 days. If you have 90 pounds to lose, 15, 30, 45, 60, 75, 90. It's going to take you 6 months. But along the path of that journey, you're going to learn to make yourself important in your own life. And as you do that, you're going to be able to change. And you have no idea the feedback I get from the excitement people have in changing the way they deal. How much cocoa powder can I use? 2 tablespoons. If you're going to use cocoa powder, you can use 2 tablespoons a day. That's it. Can I massage my beads more than 40 times? You cannot over massage the beads. You can under massage. You cannot over massage. I personally find that those people who remind themselves to massage the beads more than once every 2 hours on the odd tend to do better than people who don't, for a very simple reason. Massaging the beads reminds you who is the boss. Nobody forces you to massage your beads. You're the one who says massaging the beads is important, and if I massage my beads, I will lose the weight. But when you recognize it's also saying that you're in control, it's even better. Do plantains count as a fruit or a vegetable? Plantains are a fruit. Think of a plantain as a banana. I don't want to get into it any more deeply than that. So one banana, one fruit. What I do tell you is, if you have an accordion slicer and slice your fruit, your plantain, very, very thinly, put it on an aluminum foil, spray with Pam. You're going to make a chip, and with some legal salsa, that's good stuff and a terrific treat. How long is the average stabilization for a person on 8 weeks? Stabilization is the same for everyone who's done at least a month on the program. There is something called weight set point. It's like a thermostat within your body, and the thermostat needs to be reset to your present weight, not your starting weight. It takes 2 months approximately to reset that weight set point. So stabilization is going to take at least 2 months. And remember, think of stabilization as creating a personal lifestyle. You're learning to live at your new weight by doing what you want to do, creating that personal lifestyle, so that when you're through with stabilization, you've created something and someone that you're a lot happier living with. Can I count sugar-free Snapple as my water? The answer to that is yes, no. The sugar-free is fine and wonderful. If you look, some Snapples contain calories. Some Snapples do not. And the darker the color of the liquid, the less hydrating it is. Water is clear. Colored water, the darker it is, the less clear it is, and it has to go through your kidneys, and in the process of being cleansed in your kidneys, water is used So the darker the color of the water, the less hydrating it is. How many Dr. John's lollipops can I have? Normally, with candy, I've said 6 candies, 10 calories each. With the Dr. John's, I make an exception. First of all, they're sweetened with non-nutritive sweetener, and they prevent cavities. And I make an exception here because the non-nutritive sweetener has calories in it. They're minimal. But if you're using the Dr. John's lollipops to prevent yourself from going off and by giving yourself something, the choice is very simple. Use the Dr. John's. It will have minimal effect on weight loss, minimal effect. But from a behavioral point of view, it'll put you back in charge, back in control. And that's worth everything. Can I have guacamole? I don't see why you cannot have guacamole. It's how much guacamole and what are you having it with? If you're having it with the plantain chips and some salsa and you're not going overboard, smile and be my guest. Thank you for listening. Take care. Talk to you soon.